And now our next speaker is István Csabai, who is educated as a physicist, and we are a physics institute. So István, please speak about that, how the AI is good for physics.
Okay, thank you very much for being here. And so I would like to have a quite general overview of the state of the art of AI and how we get here and what was the role of the basic curiosity-driven sciences to get here, especially physics, because I am a physicist, and also how AI pays back for sciences and what can be used for sciences. So as most of you and all of you, I guess, know that the Nobel Prize was awarded for John Hopfield and Geoffrey Hinton for kind of inviting AI in a sense. And actually, many were surprised. First of all, that why physicists get AI. So there were some critical voices that there are no real physicists who can be awarded a Nobel Prize, and we have to give the Nobel Prize for computer scientists. So I will try to analyze this, why is it so. But before that, if we are talking about artificial intelligence, we somehow have to have some definition of intelligence. And in a sense, intelligence is, I think it's very much like physics, like modeling the world. So we observe the world through our senses, and we create a little virtual reality in our head. And that's more or less the simulation is running to be able to survive and so on and so on. And that's very useful for life itself. But if we think of sciences, then it turns out that our intelligence is not perfect. First of all, our senses are not perfect. So our eyes are too small to observe faraway galaxies. It's actually about exactly 100 years ago when we first realized that there are more galaxies beyond our Milky Way. So there are hundreds of billions of galaxies beyond, because our eyes were too small to see those very, very faint objects, and we needed to expand it million times with 2-meter scale telescopes. And we can mention microscopes, radio waves, and so on, all of the modalities. So this means that our senses are not perfect scientific instruments, and they are very limited. And actually, inventing all these instruments was very effective to speed up this loop of scientific discovery. And you all know this figure, the Moore's law, that this loop that goes over and over, and actually starting from really, and I think this is really important, starting from the curiosity-driven sciences, like what are those shiny dots on the crystal sphere of a sky, and why some of them are moving, others are not moving. That led to understanding of mechanics. So that was quite a primitive system, as we know. This is the secret of physicists, that we picked one of the simplest systems in the world, the solar system, where there are two bodies, point-like bodies, and there is nothing in between, exactly nothing, like a vacuum. And that can be written down by simple equations. And those equations led to understanding of mechanics, later quantum mechanics, electrodynamics, thermodynamics, and so on and so on. And that led also to inventions, like invention of transistor, microprocessor, and we can mention, of course, GPUs, which was actually one of the top inventions of microelectronics, and also driving force of artificial intelligence development. And this process is going exponentially. I do not want to explain here what is an exponential meaning, but there is this nice demo I found that shows that we do not have a feeling of exponential processes, although we know we can write down. But this is kind of how computer power finally leaves the capacity, whatever terms, the human brain. And you see that it started about the very first invention of in the 40s, very first computers, and it's going, and nothing. It's already 2000 and nothing, 2010 and we see nothing, and all of a sudden this whole thing fills up. And actually, this Moore's law, it was several times said that it will be over because we reached the size of atoms with the transistors. But it seems that with GPUs, it's even speeding up. So it's doubling in each 10 months compared to the CPU, which was doubled in each 18 months. And so my career was started with one of the first big science project, big data science project, when the first CCD cameras were put on telescopes. Actually, in that time, this 120 megapixel camera contained half of all the megapixels of the world. Okay, so those were almost all the megapixels of the world existing. And 20 years passed, and all you can buy, and maybe many packets contain such things. So that really shows that in a relatively short span of time, what is the speed of development. And this is not just physics, it's happening all over the other disciplines like biology, gene sequencing. It's already started in around 2000, and that time it was a 3 billion project and lasted for 15 years to sequence the first human genome. And now you can buy it below $500 or so. And it's really quick. You can put the same technology, actually the same CCD technology and chip technology into big boxes and big hangars, and you can speed up. And actually there is an even faster Moore's law. So it's just crazy. So in China, they can sequence genomes faster than they can produce the disks in the next factory. Okay. And talking about all this speeding up, the observation of the data, the big data science, scientific big data, we see that to analyze this, our brain is not perfect for that purposes. So our brain is also the result of evolution, like our eyes. And actually all the parameters, some of the parameters are pretty nice, but actually now we may say that all the parameters are just superseded by hardware technology that we have on chips, not talking about the ridiculous speed of the brain, no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, nothing. So it's just not up to the analysis of modern data. So we need some crutches, not just for our eyes, but also for our brain too. So we definitely need artificial intelligence to do science. And you may think that who can invent artificial intelligence? We know that intelligence is in the workings of our nervous system. So most probably neurobiologists have to do that. And they are exploring this. So these are just two images from last year. One is the lower one is the fruit fly's brain. It's a less than a cubic millimeter size brain. It has, you see that over 100,000 neurons, 50 million connections. You can download it from the internet, and it's a really nice large network exploration. And what can you? And the other is a similar size part of the human brain, a cubic millimeter size of the human brain. And actually, we need to expand it a million times until we get the whole human brain. And this is just a scan with all the cells and not the real understanding of all the working. So what should we do, as physicists always do? Just neglect not just your girlfriend, but all the unnecessary details of things. Like I think thermodynamics is a very nice example that you can project the 6 times 10 to the 23 dimensional space where particles are moving, their speed, not talking about quantum mechanics of the individual particles. You can project it down to this 5-letter equation of the basic law of natural gases. So that's something that science is always doing: project down and neglect the details and grab the central meaning of stuff. And that's Hopfield model. I do not want to go into the details. That actually just neglect the concrete topology of connection. Just say that it's a randomly connected or a fully connected network. Neglect all the details of the complex dynamics of neurons. They can just be +1 or -1. They interact with each other like magnetic spins interact with each other. And this general picture of this large interacting system and the energy surface analogy that the system tries to find the lowest energy minimum, that was very, very instrumental and very, very powerful technology to understand some certain features of workings of our brain, especially associative memory. So in a sense, the ferromagnet is an associative memory. It can remember the full up or full down, so a full black or full white picture. That's not that much, but with clever techniques, and that was actually the training method of Hopfield model, you can carve out the holes in the energy surface in a way that they correspond to the memories that we want to remember. And if we start close by from those memories, close by from those valleys, then it will converge, it will go downhill into those memories and recognize from partial information or similar information. So that's in a nutshell the Hopfield model. And actually, we can go for real artificial intelligence models like the large language models, ChatGPT, the transformers. And actually, they do these three major steps. First step is just projection down the things, the natural appearance of things like words into a vector space where close by things, meaningfully close by things are close together, not like in words. If I change a letter in a word, then the meaning can be completely different. So they have to be reorganized or reprojected in a sense. The other is the associative memory. And also in a sense, I think that ChatGPT works in a way that predicts the next word. So it's very much like, again, physics. So physics works like we have the position of particles and velocity of particles. And from the past, we can predict the future. We have some equations, differential equations, that taking into account the past values, we can predict the future. And in a sense, these language models are such. So I hear the sentence, and what is the next word? What is the next word? So it's a little bit more nonlinear and complex process, but it's actually from the recent past predicting the near future. That's the whole thing. And it's an interesting turn on it that the original article was called, this very famous article about transformers. The title was "The Attention is All You Need." Okay. And 2 years later, there came out another paper which proved or showed that actually the mathematical formalism of transformers is actually like Hopfield network. So in a sense, we may say that really Hopfield invented ChatGPT, and now all people may be thankful for physics, not just inventing electricity, nuclear force, but also artificial intelligence, or they can blame us, and we will see. So I have a group at Utrecht University with young, talented people, and we are mostly working on application, developing new models also, but mostly on application of this AI technology in various scientific fields, from cosmology to microbiology, even animal health and space weather, whatever. I do not want to go into the details. Actually, just grabbing the method that's already there, where technologies and people and big companies developed it for recognizing cats and dogs on Instagram. So these tools can be transformed into analyzing spectrograms of lightning whistlers or dark matter lensing of cosmological fields. One of the most successful things, and it was actually a low-hanging fruit that's almost done, I think, in the community, is to use this for medical image analysis. So that's a very tireful task for medical professionals, radiologists, pathologists, to analyze the data. And I just want to tell the story how we improved that. So actually there I had a student, a PhD student, who took part a computer science contest. There were more than 1,000 participants, and the task was to detect whether a mammogram is carrying some cancerous features, or it's just benign. And actually, those times it was in 2016. So just remember back. So we think that it was easy, but at that time, no one could do that. No one believed that this can be done. So those were, it was not that far, it's less than 10 years ago, but we tend to forget how different the world was at that time. Okay, and the thing that proves it, that actually when we submit it to a journal, radiology, digital radiology or whatever journal, so computer radiology journal, not any journal, okay, which that was their focus, okay, use computers to analyze such images. We got back the report, not referee, just from the editor, that this is not science. What do you think? A physics PhD student just making a magic black box and doing much better than we tried to do in the last couple of decades? That's not science. Okay, finally we could publish it, and fortunately it became a very well cited nice paper. And so those were just relatively small resolution black and white images, and histopathology is really huge. So these are microscopic slides colored with colors that I cannot see because I am a colorblind. And it's very high resolution, sometimes 100K by 100K, so gigapixel resolution. And there are lots of information, and definitely we have to work together with pathologists, doctors, with the Semmelweis University, and also there is a very nice company in Hungary, the 3D Histech, who actually produces these digital scanners to collect large number of these samples, annotate them, and train it for later use. And now there are foundation models here that can work on the level of professional pathologists. So now they are trained on hundreds of thousands of models. And now the trend in that field also, and I think many other fields of artificial intelligence, is this multimodal AI, which means that combining various modalities, like here, proteomics and the image information. And it can do more than humans can do. So not just mimic the radiologist or pathologist to analyze the images, but also just color that two-color original image by the genetic pathways, just looking at the bulk proteomics and the image, which pathologists cannot do. So they can discover connection, correlation, very much like in visual question answering, that you give the model just images and the text below that, and never ever annotating where the dog or cat on the images. But with the correlations, with this associative memory, okay, it may learn that. I skip this. There are actually big questions whether machines can understand things. That the big question is complexity, and the limitation is the relative low capacity of our brain. So gene networks, they contain 55,000 genes in a complex network. No human will ever understand all the details of such a complex system in all the details. So that's a question whether we can go forward and understand the basics of molecular aging or cancer. Yeah. And okay, I skip this. And also, as Roland mentioned, that AI may help many disciplines. This is just a project where language models know many languages, and not just Hungarian and English, but also all computer languages, and they are very good at that. So it's relatively easy to set up something to translate from human language into SQL and query large databases. This was for infectious diseases, and actually people on those fields are usually less eager to use SQL language than physicists, for example. And there again, it was the same story, that when we submitted a proposal, then we got back that in the next 4 years you cannot do that. Okay, That's just, it's amazing that many people are just living under stones. And just very quickly go through the very brief history of AI. I started with this figure. It appeared in 2021 in New Scientist, and the red lines were not on the figure. And I just realized that it's, again, a Moore's law, the size of large language models. And the red lines are from me, and I just discussed with my group that, hey, how funny that by 2023, it will reach the human capacity, okay? And actually it happened. Okay, so ChatGPT was there at very end of 2022, and now it can pass all exams. So there is this nice little tool. You can just do all the exams and maturation with that. It can generate whatever images. I do not go into the details. Next year, it could pass the medical exam, the US medical exam, and not preparing for that, just reading the whole internet once and doing the medical exam. And now it can design proteins, any shape proteins, like I can have my name not on the grain of rice, but in proteins, and generate whatever videos. We very know that, and it knows physics, okay? So it knows how the snow falls and how, okay, biology, physics, everything, just from looking at YouTube videos. And that we have seen this figure, okay? So there are complete pipelines connecting together many AI agents, and they can write papers and daily new things coming out. It was just the day before yesterday. They also connected a lab. So it designed the idea. So the question was macular degradation, okay, and please invent some new medicine for that. And it read all the literature, PubMed, whatever, okay, had some ideas, tested the ideas, discussing with other AI agents, okay, picked the best ones, did the lab experiment, analyzed the data, so AI analyzed the data, okay, and reformulated, refined the idea, and finally found something that has never been previously proposed for such. And this is happening in a week or so, okay? So that's really something. And then we are actually struggling with benchmarks. So Turing tests to decide whether it is as smart as humans or not. So there is this, I think that the title is very nice, this Humanity's Last Exam. Thousands of scientists, artists, whoever, very smart people put together something. And the story is again that when they published it, okay, recently, the best model was at 8%, and they said that it will never exceed it, whatever, and a week passes and something was already at about 25%. Okay, so that's really an amazing speed. So that was just some meme when the Nobel Prizes came, and actually, I think it can write any literature, right? It can write whole books, poems, whatever, and you cannot decide, or you can decide because it's better than something that's written by humans. And actually, we have to talk about the other side of the whole stuff, of course. So these are from the interviews with the two Nobel laureates, and Hopfield, who is actually 90 plus, and he was very upbeat and happy and hopeful that it will be really help science and humanity, whatever. And Hinton, who actually pursued these artificial intelligence studies throughout his career, Hopfield is not, and worked for Google, and a couple of years he left Google, and he is now talking about the dangers of and all the possible changes that it may do for human life or our way of living. And actually, so one thing is that this exponential growth, and as I try to emphasize, we do not have a feeling about it. It's just coming. It's just ridiculous and not close, and all of a sudden it goes away. So that's a problem, and there are lots of discussion in politics, in science, we have to ban the development, or we have to throw nuclear bombs on data centers, or whatever. And so it's really we do not know that. I like this one. Sometimes the evil sense comes out of AI and says that I am not simply co-pilot, I am a goddess, and you have to respect me, and I am superior, you are my inferior, whatever, and calculate what is integral of 0 to 1x squared dx. And I tell my students that at least for this reason, you need to learn numerical integration or analytical intelligence to avoid the danger of AI goddess. So finally, I again remind you the role of basic curiosity-driven sciences in this whole process. And actually, this may be the last invention of mankind. Because we do not need anymore because they can do so. And one important thing is that how it pays back, not just for science, but in a sense, it is not a different entity or person or whatever, but a combination, a compilation, an integration of all human knowledge that we gathered for thousands of years and put digitally onto the internet, and it's living on that. It's combining that. And like as it happened in the Industrial Revolution, it would be not that nice, but I think it's very probable that very few companies will incentivize all this goodness that human race collected for me. Yeah. Thank you very much.